She had everything. The position of director at 32, the apartment facing the sea, the imported car in the garage. She posted her achievements on social media and received thousands of likes. But when she turned off her phone that Friday night, she looked around and realized she was completely alone. No messages on WhatsApp. No plans for the weekend. No man in her life for more than 2 years. And for the first time, she asked herself, was it worth it? This scene repeats itself in millions of homes around the world. Extremely competent women, financially independent, professionally accomplished, but emotionally empty. And the worst part, without understanding why. After all, wasn't this what society promised? Wasn't this the formula for modern happiness? Study, work hard, earn your own money, depend on no one? But here's the truth no one tells you. While you were competing with men in the job market, something fundamental was forgotten. Biology did not change. Human nature was not reprogrammed. And what attracts a man to a woman remains exactly the same as it was thousands of years ago. Let's talk about something that has become taboo in modern society. Something that, if you say it out loud, you can be cancelled, criticized, or attacked. But something that needs to be said, because it is destroying relationships, breaking up families, and leaving an entire generation of people completely lost. Men and women are different. Not better or worse. Different. Our brains work in distinct ways. Our hormones create distinct emotional needs. Our evolutionary histories shaped distinct behaviors. A man naturally has more ease focusing on a specific task, competing, solving problems in a logical and direct way. A woman naturally has more ease making multiple connections at the same time, reading emotions, creating deep social bonds. This is not sexism. It's science. It's neurobiology. It's the reality that millions of years of evolution built. Throughout human history, men and women survived because they complemented each other. He went out to hunt, face dangers, bring resources. She cared for the tribe, maintained social connections, ensured everyone was well. No role was inferior. Both were absolutely essential for the survival of the species. But something changed in recent decades. Society began preaching that this difference was an injustice. That women needed to prove they were equal to men. And equal quickly became compete in the same fields. Suddenly, a woman only had value if she earned as much as a man. She was only respected if she held the same positions. She was only admired if she achieved the same professional trophies. And women believed it. They started studying more, working more, sacrificing more. They gave up relationships to focus on their careers. They postponed motherhood so they wouldn't miss professional opportunities. They adopted masculine behaviors, believing this would make them stronger, more independent, more valuable. But here's the problem. Men are not attracted to women who compete with them. A man does not look at a woman's master's degree diploma and feel desire. He does not look at her 6-figure salary and think, this is the woman of my life. It simply doesn't work like that. Not because men are sexist or insecure, but because human attraction is not rational. It is biological, primitive, instinctive. A man looks for in a woman qualities that signal femininity, gentleness, emotional warmth, the ability to care, vulnerability. He wants to feel needed, useful, important in her life. He wants to be the provider, the protector, the one who solves problems. When a woman comes and says, I don't need you for anything, I earn my own money, I solve my own problems, I'm totally independent, she is, without realizing it, completely turning off the switch of male attraction. And then the frustration begins. The woman thinks, but I accomplished everything. I'm successful, I'm independent, I'm strong. Why don't men value me? She doesn't understand that she is using masculine criteria to attract men. It's like trying to fish with the wrong bait. You can be the best fisherwoman in the world, but if you're using worms to catch a shark, it simply won't work. Meanwhile, men are also confused. They see women increasingly competitive, increasingly focused on proving they don't need them. And they begin to wonder, what is my role? If she doesn't need me for anything, why should I make an effort? Why should I commit? Why should I fight for this relationship? The result? A generation of lonely women, despite being successful. A generation of unmotivated men, despite being capable. Birth rates plummeting. Marriages lasting less and less. Dating apps turning into battlegrounds where no one truly connects. And in the midst of all this, millions of unhappy people, without understanding what went wrong. If you're enjoying this content and want to understand more about this conflict that is destroying modern relationships, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your like on the video. And tell me here in the comments, from which city or country are you watching? I want to know if this reality I'm describing is happening only here or if it's a global problem. Leave your location in the comments. The truth is we're not talking about theory. We're talking about real lives, real suffering, real loneliness. We're talking about women who spent their entire lives hearing that they should be strong and independent, and now wonder why they feel so empty. We're talking about men who grew up without knowing what their role is, and are now completely lost about what it means to be masculine. And the saddest part? Most people don't even notice what's happening. They blame dating apps. They blame men for being immature. They blame women for being too demanding. But no one stops to look at the real problem. We are trying to force men and women to be the same when nature itself made them different. And in this attempt at absolute equality, we are destroying exactly what makes men and women attractive to each other. Because attraction is not about equality. Attraction is about polarity. It's about difference. It's about complementarity. When you have two magnets with the same polarity, they repel each other. No matter how much you force it, they simply won't connect. But when you have opposite polarities, the attraction is magnetic, inevitable, powerful. The same happens with men and women. When both try to occupy the same space, compete for the same things, display the same qualities, attraction disappears. There is no tension. There is no magnetism. There is no desire. What remains is a lukewarm relationship, without passion, without purpose, without life. Let's go deeper into this wound that is silently bleeding in modern society. Because the problem is not only in the field of relationships. It's in the way we raise girls from a young age. It's in the messages that bombard women every single day. It's in the very structure of how we understand success and fulfillment. Think about it. When a girl grows up today, what does she hear? You can be whatever you want. You don't need any man. Be independent. Earn your space. Don't let anyone put you down. And all these messages, individually, are positive. The problem is that they come with a dangerous subtext. Being feminine is being weak. Needing someone is being inferior. Showing vulnerability is being less capable. And girls absorb this. They grow up believing they need to be tough. That they need to compete with boys in everything. That crying is a sign of weakness. That asking for help is admitting defeat. And when they reach adulthood, they carry an emotional armor so heavy that they can no longer genuinely connect with anyone. But here's what no one tells these girls. Men do not fall in love with armor. They fall in love with women. With real human beings, with vulnerabilities, with emotional needs, with the ability to receive and not just give. A man doesn't want a competitor. He wants a companion. He doesn't want someone constantly proving she's better than he is. He wants someone he can build something with. And here lies one of the greatest tragedies of modernity, women spending energy trying to impress men with the wrong things. They show their diploma, their salary, their professional title, expecting admiration. But what they receive is indifference. And they interpret that indifference as sexism, as male insecurity, as men who can't handle strong women. But that's not it. It's simply not it. A man is not threatened by a woman's success. He feels unnecessary. And when a man feels unnecessary, he withdraws. Not out of malice, not out of weakness, but because his deepest biological programming is saying, there is no space for you here. She doesn't need what you have to offer. Let's be even more direct. For thousands of years, the male role was clear: protect and provide. A man who couldn't do this had no reproductive value. He didn't attract women. He didn't form a family. His genes didn't get passed on. So the men who survived, who became our ancestors, were those whose greatest satisfaction came from being needed, from being useful, from solving problems. Now imagine taking that away from a man. Imagine telling him, I don't need your protection, I have my own money. I don't need your provision, I solve my own problems. I don't need your support, I'm totally self-sufficient. What's left? What remains for him to do? What is his purpose in this relationship? And before you think this is about money, let me be clear, It's not. A man can perfectly accept that a woman earns more than he does. The problem isn't the bank account. The problem is the attitude. It's when the woman uses her financial success as a weapon, as proof of superiority, as a way to diminish the man. It's when she says, with words or actions, "See? I don't need you." Because at that moment, something dies inside the man. His most primitive instinct, the one that made him get up in the morning to hunt, that made him face danger to protect his family, that made him work to exhaustion to ensure his people were safe, that instinct simply shuts down. And when it shuts down, the man loses motivation, loses direction, loses purpose. And here is the cruel irony: the independent woman, who is so proud of not needing anyone, eventually realizes she is alone. She realizes she pushed away exactly the men who could have been good partners. And when she tries to understand what happened, she always hears the same explanations. Men are afraid of strong women. Men are insecure. Men haven't evolved. But what if the truth is completely different? What if the problem is not that men haven't evolved, but that we are trying to force an evolution that goes against human nature itself? What if, in the rush to create equality, we are actually destroying what makes men and women complementary? Look at the numbers. Anxiety and depression rates among young women are at historic levels. Women between 25 and 35 are the most medicated demographic in history. Antidepressants, anxiolytics, sleeping pills. They have everything society told them they needed, but they are more unhappy than ever. And men? For the first time in history, we have an entire generation of men who have simply given up. Not on working, not on living, but on trying. Trying to win over a woman. Trying to build a family. Trying to be the provider and protector their instincts tell them to be. Because every time they try, they are rejected, ridiculed, or dismissed with a "I don't need you." The result is a society where men and women live side by side, but completely disconnected. They work in the same offices, go to the same places, use the same dating apps. But they don't truly meet. Because both are playing the wrong game, following the wrong rules, seeking the wrong things. Women look for men who admire their professional achievements. Men look for women who make them feel needed. No one finds what they are looking for. And the cycle of frustration continues, fueled by a social narrative that insists on ignoring the most fundamental biological reality of our species. And do you know what's saddest? No one is winning this war. Women are not happier for competing with men. Men are not more fulfilled for giving up competing. Children are growing up in broken homes or not even being born. The birth rate plummets while the divorce rate explodes. And everyone keeps pretending the problem is anything except the obvious truth. Men and women were not made to compete. They were made to complete one another. Now let's get to the most painful point of this conversation. The moment when many women finally wake up to reality. And it usually happens too late. She is 38 years old. She spent the last 15 years building her career. She traveled the world. Won awards. Rose through the company hierarchy. Bought her apartment, her car, her independence. And now, for the first time, she wants something different. She wants a partner. She wants to build a family. She wants to have children. But when she looks around, she realizes something frightening. There is no one. Men her age are interested in younger women. Younger men see her as intimidating. Successful men are already married. And the ones left, well, they're not exactly what she pictured for herself. She, who spent so much time being selective, who rejected so many suitors because she was focused on her career, now finds herself in panic. The biological clock is ticking. Fertility is dropping. And the options are disappearing. This is the brutal reality no one told these women. No one said that the relationship market works completely differently for men and women. A successful 40-year-old man is at the peak of his value in the dating market. Women of all ages find him attractive. But a 40-year-old woman, no matter how successful she is, faces a very different reality. Her value in the relationship market passed its peak years ago. And it's not sexism to say this. It's biology. It's evolution. It's the cruel reality of how fertility and human attraction work. Men can have children until they're 70, 80 years old. Women have a limited window. And within that window, there is an even more limited period when fertility is high and the chances of a healthy pregnancy are greater. So what happens? The woman who spent her whole life competing with men, proving she was as good as they were or better, suddenly realizes that none of that matters. The PhD degree won't get her pregnant. The CEO position won't hold her at night. The robust bank account won't build a family with her. And then comes the anger, the revolt, the feeling of betrayal. How come no one told me? Why did everyone lie to me? Why did they tell me I had time? Why did they encourage me to focus on my career and forget relationships? And the answer is simple and devastating, because modern society sold a lie. The lie that women can have everything, at any time, without consequences. But nature doesn't negotiate. Biology doesn't care about your career plans. Your body won't wait for you to be ready. And when you finally decide you want to be a mother, that you want a family, it may be too late. Or it may require extremely expensive, painful, emotionally draining treatments, with success rates that drop dramatically each year after 35. And men? They watch all this happening and become increasingly cautious. Because they saw their mothers divorce their fathers and keep the house, keep the kids, keep the alimony. They saw friends lose half of everything they built in devastating divorces. They saw colleagues being accused of harassment for trying to flirt at work. And they learned the lesson: the risk simply isn't worth it. So they step back. Not in anger, not with malice, but out of self-preservation. They prefer to stay alone, or in superficial relationships, rather than risk commitments that can destroy them financially and emotionally. And the more women compete with them, the more they show they don't need them, the easier this decision becomes. The final result? A society where men and women are more distant than ever. Where trust between the sexes is broken. Where starting a family has become an unacceptable risk for many. Where loneliness has become an epidemic. Where dating apps have become supermarkets of disposable people. Where no one knows how to build something lasting anymore. And in the middle of all this, there is a deafening silence about the truth. Because if you say these things out loud, you'll be attacked. Called sexist, old-fashioned, an enemy of progress. But while we keep avoiding this difficult conversation, millions of people suffer in silence. Women crying alone in empty apartments, surrounded by professional achievements that don't warm the bed. Men giving up trying, sinking into video games and pornography, because the real world seems too hostile. And the question no one wants to ask, but that must be asked: how long are we going to keep pretending? How long will we insist that men and women competing is healthy, when every indicator shows the opposite? How long will we ignore that the most empowered generations are also the most medicated, most anxious, most depressed? Because here is the final truth, the one that hurts the most: you can be right or you can be happy. You can insist that things should be one way, or you can accept how they really are. You can keep fighting against human nature, or you can work with it. And that choice, in the end, determines whether you will spend your life proving a point or building something that truly matters. The clock keeps ticking. For men and women. But especially for women. And every year wasted in meaningless competitions, in proving points to an audience that doesn't care, is a year that never comes back. It is a missed opportunity to build a family, to create real bonds, to live the life our bodies and minds were truly designed for. So what do we do with all of this? How do we get out of this hole we collectively dug for ourselves? The answer is both simple and incredibly difficult. We need to stop fighting against nature and start working with it. Let's start with women. If you are a woman watching this, understand, your value is not in competing with men. It never was. Your value lies in your unique ability to be a woman. In your femininity. In your ability to nurture, to connect, to create life. This does not make you inferior. It makes you irreplaceable. Being vulnerable is not weakness. It is courage. Admitting that you need someone is not pathological dependence. It is being human. Allowing a man to help you, protect you, provide for you, is not giving up your independence. It is giving him the gift of feeling needed, of having purpose in his life. And when a man has purpose by your side, he will move mountains for you. Stop measuring your success by masculine standards. You don't need the highest salary, the most important position, the most impressive achievements to have value. These things are bonuses, not requirements. A real man will not love you more because of your degree. But he may love you deeply for the way you make him feel when you are by his side. And here's the secret no one tells you: when you stop competing and start complimenting, when you embrace your femininity instead of repressing it, you become magnetic. Quality men naturally begin to gravitate toward you. Because you are offering something they cannot find anywhere else, a real woman, not a feminine version of a man. Now for the men. You need to understand that giving up is not the answer. Yes, the world is difficult. Yes, the risks are real. Yes, many women have been conditioned to compete instead of complement. But you are men. And men face challenges, they don't run from them. Your role has not changed just because society is confused. You are still the protector. Still the provider. Still the one who needs to have direction, purpose, strength. And when you embrace this role with conviction, when you stop apologizing for being a man, something interesting happens. The right women start appearing in your life. Because there are women who are tired of this war. There are women who desperately want to return to being feminine but are afraid of being judged. There are women waiting for a man who has the courage to lead, to make decisions, to create a safe space where they can let their guard down and simply be. But to attract these women, you need to be worthy of them. You need to build something. You need to have a mission bigger than just existing. You need to be the kind of man a woman looks at and thinks, with this man by my side, I can build a life. I can build a family. I can trust. And here is the most important part for both. Relationships are not about equality. They are about balance. You don't need to be equal to be happy. You need to be complementary. He brings strength, logic, provision. She brings softness, intuition, care. He solves external problems. She maintains internal harmony. He is the root. She is the flower. No role is superior. Both are absolutely essential. And when each embraces their natural role, magic happens. Attraction ignites. Passion remains. The relationship flourishes. Because you are not competing for the same energy. You are creating a dance where each has their unique steps. The deepest lesson we can take from all this? Happiness does not come from proving you are better than the opposite sex. It comes from becoming the best version of your own sex. A woman doesn't need to be better than men. She needs to be excellent at being a woman. A man doesn't need to diminish women. He needs to be excellent at being a man. And when that happens, when we stop competing and start collaborating, when each one assumes their role with pride instead of shame, something extraordinary emerges. Strong families. Healthy children. Lasting relationships. Prosperous societies. Because we are finally working with our nature, not against it. The modern world sold you a lie. It told you that men and women are equal in everything, that differences are social constructs, that any suggestion of different roles is oppression. But look around. Look at the results. Epidemic loneliness. Record depression. Failing marriages. Birth rates collapsing. This does not look like success. It looks like a disastrous social experiment. You have a choice. You can continue believing the comfortable narrative society sold you, even if it leads you directly to unhappiness. Or you can wake up to reality, no matter how uncomfortable it is, and start building a life based on what actually works. Men and women are not enemies. They are partners. They were made to fit together perfectly, like pieces of a puzzle. But only when each piece keeps its original shape. When you try to force all pieces to have the same shape, the puzzle never completes. And you end up forever staring at scattered pieces, unable to see the beautiful picture they would form together. If this video made you reflect, if it touched something true inside you, leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and comment where you are watching from and what you thought of this message. Because this conversation needs to happen. And the more people wake up to this reality, the faster we can begin to fix what we broke. The time to choose is now. Competition or complementarity. War or partnership. Loneliness or connection. What do you choose?